Should you rake the leaves or should you not rake the leaves? I'm of the belief that you should, because what ends up unfortunately happening is if you don't end up raking the leaves, then they end up in your neighbor's yard. And then, we have some words that are going to exchange.
Well, if my dad's words still echo in my ear. I grew up just in North Jersey where we had all kinds of trees, right? And it seemed like every weekend I'm raking. His words were the same thing. Get your out there and rake those leaves. So I grew up raking leaves, right? And the reason why we had this Kentucky bluegrasses, which everybody has up here because it can withstand the cold and the rain and all that stuff. And if you left piles and clumps of the leaves there, springtime you rake it up. If you didn't rake it up already, and there's just dead patches of grass. So if you want to save your lawn, boom, you have to. I know you mulch it, blah, 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 blah. But I still say you got to rake it up. I was
going to bring that out because some people say don't rake it at all. What you should do is maybe run the lawnmower over it, and this way it naturally becomes part of the landscape here.
Not a bad idea either. But it's one or the other. And then I read somewhere that, the good news is if you leave your leaves down there, it's habitat for animals like rodents. Yeah, that's what you want in your yard.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want, to walk out and just see that and be like, hey, honey, do you see what's out in front?
Check out the rats that are over here. This is fantastic. No, I mean, I'm of the raking bilk.
Down in Georgia, though, they don't rake it. They just have controlled burns.
I know. I was just down in Atlanta, and you're right. It was like that. By the way, K-Studio. What's it stand for? Closet? Claustrophobic?
Well, you know what? Well, I mean,
I opened up the door and I broke the window,
Well, Bob, let's settle this because I want to bring in an arborist. His name is Lou Meyer. He is from the Davey Tree Expert Company. So, Lou, help me settle this, right? Should you rake or should you not rake? You got to take a position.
You really do. Gentlemen, thanks so much for having me on. I saw your intro there, and I know your stance on it. There's definitely pros and cons to both. Our focus on the Leaving Your Leaves campaign, though, is really an effort to keep a lot of the waste from getting to the landfills. So not all municipalities mulch up your leaves for to become mulch later on, like leaf grow and other items. A lot of them end up in your typical landfill, which leads to methane buildup and other things. So leaves are a natural part of the environment, right? Much like your grass blades are and other things. And leaving them as part of your environment, if you can, and if you have the capacity for it, is a great thing. Like you mentioned, if you let them pile up, it could really be a danger to your lawn. But like you also mentioned, chopping them up with a mulching blade on your mower can allow the leaves to biodegrade quicker and allow those nutrients to trickle back into the ground system for food for your turf and other trees and plants.
I see both sides. What about a compost pile? What do you think about that? What's the easiest way to do a compost pile if you have room?
Compost pile is an excellent thing. So if you have an area in your lawn where you can pile up leaves in the back 40 somewhere and let them break down over time, that's a terrific way. Like you said, leaves can be a great habitat for critters. And I know you don't want the rats and the mice, but think about box turtles, toads, frogs, other, cute creatures that are very important. And more importantly, the pollinators. So a lot of caterpillars, overwinter, a lot of insects, the pollinators, they're important overwinter in leaves, and they need that debris. So a compost pile somewhere is a very good way to do that.
Now, there are, though, some weather risks, because I know a lot of times, we will talk about the fact that it rains and then you get those leaves on the ground and it becomes very slippery.
Yes. So you have to manage that, right? So if it rains and you have a thick pile of leaves down, not only does it become slippery, but it becomes a lot more difficult to chop up with your mower and to rake or blow. So staying on it's important. We're not saying don't rake your leaves, just leave your leaves on your property in some capacity. So get them off the turf, put them off if you got a landscape bed around the perimeter of your backyard that you don't need to have triple shred mulch down. Put the leaves back there and let them settle for the year.
I'm looking at your lawn right now, and it looks pretty good. You have some leaves out there, so I guess we know what side you fall on. It's the let it be.
Yeah, I do fall on that.
I wish my dad was on your side. Back when I was a kid.
You got to work on that. One last thing to think about is if your trees have leaf disease, oaks have anthracnose or sycamores have anthracnose, powdery mildew, those things, that will overwinter in leaves also. So have an arborist from Davey Tree come out to your property, assess the trees to see if any of those diseases are present. And those leaves you do want to get off the property. That's an important thing.
All right, so now we know where Lou falls in this great debate, even though he did a good job at, I think, arguing both sides there. Lou, I'm going to hire you to represent me when I get into an argument with my wife.
I'd love to be there.
All right, Lou Meyer, thank you so much. I appreciate
Good stuff.
you.
Yeah, good job, Lou.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Meantime, the countdown, my friends, is on to the holidays. And Bob, just want to let you